Every gas station in America is lying to you by exactly 9/10 of 1 cent. Not half a cent, not a full cent, 9/10. And by the end of this video, you will never look at a gas station sign the same way again. Because that tiny sliver of a number, smaller than a penny, impossible to pay with any coin ever minted, is one of the most successful psychological tricks in American retail history. And it has been running continuously for over 100 years. Here is exactly how it works, who designed it, and what it has quietly cost you every single time you filled up your tank. The official story is simple and boring. Gas stations price fuel in 9/10 of a cent, the story goes, because of old federal and state gas tax. Back in the 1930s, some fuel taxes were assessed in fractions of a cent. Stations passed that fraction directly to the consumer. The fraction stuck. That is the explanation you will find in most basic searches. It is not wrong, but it is wildly incomplete. Because here is what that explanation leaves out. The fraction did not have to stay. It could have been rounded up, rounded down, or dropped entirely. Nobody forced stations to keep it. And yet every major oil company, Shell, BP, Chevron, ExxonMobil, still uses it today. In 2024, on a digital sign. Why? Because it works. And once you understand the mechanism, you cannot unsee it. Here is exactly what is happening inside your brain when you see a gas price. You read numbers left to right, always. So when you see a price of $3.49 9/10, your brain registers the 3 first. It anchors to $3. It does not naturally complete the full calculation to $3.50. Researchers call this left digit anchoring. A 2005 study published in the Journal of Consumer Research by economists Manoj Thomas and Vicky Morwitz confirmed that consumers systematically underestimate prices when the left digit is lower, even by just 1 unit. The 9/10 cent keeps the leftmost dollar digit 1 step lower than it would otherwise be. A price of $3.99 9/10 feels like a $3 price. Round it to $4 and your brain files it in a completely different psychological category. That is not an accident. That is engineering. Now, here is the part the industry really does not want you to think about. The 9/10 cent is not just a tax artifact. It is a deliberate competitive weapon. In the 1920s and 1930s, gas stations were in brutal price wars. Standard Oil, Gulf, Texaco, they were undercutting each other by fractions of a cent to win customers. Pricing at 19 and 9/10 instead of 20 cents was a way to technically be cheaper without sacrificing a full cent of margin. The fraction became the battleground. And once enough stations adopted it, any station that dropped the fraction and rounded up looked more expensive, even when the real difference was less than 1 penny. The industry had locked itself into the fraction, and it never left. Let's talk about what this actually costs you. Individually, 9/10 of a cent sounds like nothing, and on a single gallon, it is nothing. But scale it up. The average American household buys roughly 1,100 gallons of gasoline per year, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. At 9/10 of a cent per gallon, that is $9.90 per household per year, nearly $10 paid above the displayed price that your brain registered as the cost. Across 130 million American households, that rounds to about $1.3 billion per year, collected in that invisible fraction. That is money consumers are spending that does not appear on the price they consciously read. Now, here is where it gets more specific. Gas stations display prices on large roadside signs. Those signs show the 9/10, but they show it in a font roughly 1/4 the size of the main price digits. Go look next time. The fraction is physically smaller. There is no regulation requiring it to be the same size. The station makes a design choice every single time to minimize the visual weight of the number that pushes the price over the threshold. That is not tradition, that is choice. Some states have tried to push back. In the early 2000s, a handful of consumer advocates in states including Connecticut and California proposed legislation to require gas prices to be displayed in full cents, rounded to the nearest penny. The proposals went nowhere. The American Petroleum Institute, the lobbying arm of the oil industry, consistently argues that the fraction is simply a pass-through of tax structures. The rounding debate dies quietly every time. Here is something genuinely interesting about international comparisons. In Canada, gas is priced in full cents. In the United Kingdom, prices are displayed per liter in full pence. In Australia, same story, full cents. The fractional pricing is almost uniquely American, which means the tax structure justification does not fully hold up because other countries have fuel taxes too. They just round them. The fraction is a choice. The United States industry makes it differently from almost every other developed nation. So what can you actually do with this information? First, when you see a gas price, complete the math. Train yourself to round up, not anchor to the left digit. $3.99.9 is $4, full stop. Second, use apps like GasBuddy or the AAA Fuel Tracker to compare real prices, not the psychological prices your brain wants to read. Third, pay attention to cash versus credit price. Many stations charge a higher price for credit cards, sometimes 10 to 20 cents per gallon more, and they display both prices on the same sign, both ending in 9/10, which makes the comparison even harder to process quickly. The fraction is doing double duty there. And now, the most infuriating specific detail. Saved for last. You cannot actually pay 9/10 of a cent. There is no coin for it. There has never been a coin for it. The US Mint stopped producing half-cent coins in 1857. So the price displayed on every gas station sign in America includes a number that is physically impossible to tender in cash. When you pay cash, the station rounds to the nearest cent, which means the 9/10 cent is collected when you pay by card and silently absorbed into rounding when you pay cash. The fraction exists on the sign for one reason only, to keep the left digit lower, not because it reflects a real transactable amount. 100 years, 1 trillion fill-ups, a number you cannot pay with any coin ever made. That is the real reason gas prices end in 9/10 of a cent. Follow this channel. We find the real reason behind everyday things and post it every single day.